So, today is a very nice day, and I thought it was easier if I explained what I created here. These are actually very abstract flowers, and you start off by, I think it's easier if you just start off with the foliage by the outside, and then you create the flower in the middle. And anything that you can think of, not necessarily has to be this type of flowers you can create with roses, you can do whatever. I think this is more about going in with the shape than rather with the form. It's like I said, is very abstract like, not really creating a form, but almost like filling up the spaces. So that's what you see me doing here. I want to apologize if my voice sounds a little bit rough. I actually am getting rid of a bad cold, and so that's what you see me also with a rope. I'm sorry. I just didn't feel like getting dressed or anything. I just wanted to create and do something artistic or something artsy wise. I actually wanted to do this because I think is the best way or to create something that can actually go um, on different textures. For example, this is great for people that like to do textile paintings. You can do designs, you can do scarves, silk wraps, scarves. You can do designs for pillows. Like you can do all kinds of things. So I think this is easier and the best way to actually create something. You really don't have to do a background, but I thought that in my mind, I thought it was easier for me because you can actually add different colors because the flowers inside have different colors, and I thought it was the easiest way. So what you see me here is actually throwing in some dark green, and I'm just making it almost seem like the foliage. And I added some texture by adding alcohol. Alcohol is my favorite thing to do. I know it's kind of annoying, especially on this paper. It's not the greatest deal. However, I really like the texture of the alcohol. So what I did is that I went around, and you see me saving some space because that space that I'm actually going around is going to save me to create those little bubbles and a really cool, very cool background. If you don't have alcohol, you can do this just by spritzing more water on top of it, and it will actually create some type of texture. And so this is what you see me here, and I really enjoy painting this way. It's just I don't know, like I feel like a child, just playing with it, even though at the outcome comes really very mature and very much like I feel like much like a design in watercolor. So it's pretty cool to paint this way. And so you see me, this is what I'm doing. And I know that's easier said than done. You do have to have some knowledge when it comes to flowering. And I feel like this is between a beginner and intermediate painter with some skills and someone that is knowledgeable when it comes to flowers. But I believe that if you want to create something with poppies or the same thing with a different type of flower, I believe that is easier. And like I said, you really don't have to create a background. I did this by choice, I have a little bit of a cold and I just wanted to paint and to create something beautiful. And I thought about a really nice piece of scarf or a dress that can get this and take that into consideration. That's what I was doing. But these flowers are basically just created very abstract like and you can do this with watercolors, or you can do this also with, I think, with acrylics. It will be easier rather than with oils, even though it's almost like if you're putting pieces together. So a lot of negative space that create that light that you see there. And I left some spaces there without paint. So it's to just to create some light coming through from the background. Okay, so what you see me here is basically creating the parts almost like if it was a puzzle in your mind. You're creating a puzzle, and if you were to construct a puzzle before you deconstruct it or before you take the pieces out, that's what you see me doing here. So this is basically what we're doing. I think it's the easiest way to actually explain to you how to do this. And the rest is it just comes easier. I don't fuss so much. You have the middle of the flower, which is the darker part, and some of them on the left side, I think, I created more of an abstract flower, but you can still understand that it's a flower. I want to explain something about giving not only the middle of the flower and basically just telling the viewer this is the middle of the flower, but also something about the lines when it comes to watercolors. When you add too many lines into a painting, it looks like it's just in your face. So just try to minimize the use of lines, or better say, the use of details as much as you can. I think that's the best way of actually explaining how to do this. And the rest, I actually use these really cool color from Holbein, and I'm going to tell you the name in just a minute. So the bright yellow color, or the bright light color that you see on the right side, is called Joan Brilliant number 2. This is from Holbein Watercolors. Again, you spell it Jaune, Brilliant number 2. And it's almost like a yellowish, very opaque type of um, painting, I will say. It has, that chalky consistency, and it's very opaque. You really can't paint over it, even though I try my best to kind of just cover it a little bit. The second color is vermilion hue, also from Holbein. You really don't have to get the same brand, but if you were interested as to the colors that I'm using, these are the colors that I'm using for this particular painting. The background color I painted with two colors, and this is one is Sennelier. It will be called Forest Green, 8.99, Series 1. This is Sennelier Green. Okay, and for the bottom part of the background color, I'm using Holbein Antique Watercolor, and this will be Antique Violet. Okay, 021, which is actually a pretty deep violet. The pinks and the reds that I'm using are from also Sennelier. I'm using 659 Opera or Rose. And I'm also using the red, which is a very beautiful, very candente, type of red. Is Sennelier red. It's very bright, very beautiful. So these are the colors that I actually use on the entire painting. I've been painting for a while, so I have these tubes in for a while, and so just in case you were interested in using the colors, those are the colors, and the paper is hot press. What you see me doing here is just making some lines here and there just to mimic some sort of um, leaf, and that's what you see me doing here. Nothing out of the ordinary. Remember, this is almost like a puzzle type of thing, so you just create at your own gusto, at your own pace, and you kind of just mimicking flowers, even though you know and I know we're just inventing stuff here and just adding it, but I think it's a very cool way. So that what you see me doing here is using that vermilion red, and or vermilion hue, better say, from Holbein, and just adding it to the corner flower. And I mix and match my colors, and I thought that the best way to go with purple in here is with that light blue. So that's what you see me doing right in the middle, even though I'm covering it with my hands, and I truly apologize for that. So I try my best to keep the background as dark when it comes to the corners, so it can brighten up those white spaces area. But you see that right in the middle, you can see how it's basically just transforming and adding some really nice shape, and you can miss the flowers. And these broadcast, the live broadcast was about 1 hour and some minutes. So I try my best, like I think is only fair for you guys not to stay too long watching me paint. I try my best to speed it up as much as I could, but at the same time, I feel like it's also my responsibility to explain to you how I do this. There's some lines, like I said, with some sepia and also with the purple that I use, which is very, very, very dark. But I think that that purple also serves you if you want to do like a tint of it. You can definitely use it. I think uh, I prefer to do this type of paintings on cold press, but I actually got a whole pack of hot press watercolor Fabriano, and I'm taking advantage of it. I've done several paintings that have come very beautiful, and I really wanted to see if I do what I am used to do in on cold press, if I can actually do it in hot press. And like you can see here, you can definitely do it in hot press as well as in cold press. A lot of people have a bit of an iffy feeling when it comes to cold press, hot press, and cans of mixed media paper, which I actually use. I feel like if you know your technique and you know what you're doing and you feel comfortable with your watercolors, I feel like it doesn't matter the type of paper that you use, you're going to get the same result. So, as you see here, I wanted to prove to myself, not to anybody else, that I could create the same basically way in hot press and in cold press, and I did, and it actually came out pretty cool. Actually, better than in cold press for some reason. I don't know. Prior to paint and do all these type of wiggles and almost like a scramble in here, puzzle type of thing, I actually added enough water to the paper, back and forth with water. So basically, just stretch out the paper as much as I could, even though it's hot press. And well, hot press behaves very differently than the cold press. But I really wanted to do the same thing that I do with the cold press paper. And I think that was a big difference. That made a difference in how the paper behaved when I was actually giving the layers. I think it is important that I let you guys know this in case you want to try it yourself with the same type of paper. So of course the flower in the middle has like these two tones. I was thinking to do like a poppy type of purple flower. It really doesn't have like a breed per se. I'm just adding flowers in my mind that looks, or adding the washes as I thought that there was a flower there. Remember, this is completely abstraction and you just want to go with the flow. And if you see it, I feel the best way to actually portray this is by seeing it in your mind, and you kind of just mimic the shape and the form of the flower. So this is what you see me doing here. I think that if you really squint your eyes and look at the paper, you can create more flowers out of this. But I decided to just fill up the middle part. Sorry. Another thing that I wanted to let you guys know is that I repeated the same color throughout the painting. So sort of like, so everything kind of just looks even and looks like it matched the whole painting, even though it has plenty of different colors in there. So that color in the corner right on the top part that you see me painting here, I repeated all over the painting, and I did the same thing with the blue, and I did the same thing with the pink color. And what that does is allows you to kind of just have an uniform way of seeing something, even though there's different shapes and different forms in here. So that's what I would like to explain to you when you're trying to do something like this. I feel overall like the best way is actually um, to do. I actually had to drink some medicine, so that's why I have to get up. And I was drinking, I was drinking water and coughing really bad. So I feel like the best thing that you can do when you're painting this way is just have fun and not think too much about technique. It's more about being able to create and enjoy what you do the best possible way, and think of ideas that this watercolor can actually perform as like a design, like I said, or perhaps a textile painting, because watercolor paper regardless is cotton. So that's what I was thinking, like, oh, this will look good here, this will look good here. Well, I would like to wear it if I were to use this as a wearable art. Well, I would like to wear it. That's what I was thinking. So this was the design for basically just to do that. So your watercolors can have a different motives, or you can have a different motives in how you want to create your watercolors. Before we go, you see me giving the painting a lot of shadows, kind of just mimicking that the background is around it. So I kind of just separated the flowers that way. And I added different types of, like, hint of that reddish color and a hint of that green color. And I added, kind of just try my best to round it up and make it look like there's actually flowers around it. This painting is very colorful and very bright and very cheery, regardless of how I was actually feeling. So I think is a really good way of almost like therapy, basically. And if you would like to learn more, you can definitely hop on to Periscope and look at the live lesson. So I really like how I created the flower on the left because it's very abstract, doesn't have very little detail. And I think that was the whole overall what I wanted to do. Like I said, I wasn't feeling my best in this video, which is actually done today. And so if you really look at the picture, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about when you see the painting, the flower. So what you see me here is reinforcing the corner flower because I thought, this color is so bright and so beautiful. Why not reinforcing it? I'm using the vermilion and a little bit of a hint of that pink and red color. And then I go to the left side and I'm also creating what I think is flower shapes. I know this sounds more easier than what it is, but if you really take a look and you pause the video, you'll be able to learn how to do this. By the way, if you would like to see the full detailed demo, the slower version, better say, you can hop on to Periscope. Is a live demo. The only thing is that you will hear me coughing, and I hate that, but I wasn't feeling my best, like I said. So you can definitely hop on over and you can see exactly how I created this painting. So what you see here is I'm creating the left flowers again, almost like the bottom flower, very abstract like. I really didn't give too much detail at the outside flowers. My focus were more on the middle flowers because that's basically what the person takes a look at. And what I was gonna say is that you definitely don't have to, like, you really don't have to create a background. I did it because I don't know, I just felt green, was a really nice color for it. And I have that vision of the scarf, etc., etc. But you can definitely live if you leave the background basically white, it will look actually even better, I feel. So the choice is endlessless, and you can create these flowers. You don't have to do so many. You can create 2 or 3 flowers in the middle and do this abstract type of painting, which I'm actually enjoying very much. So like I said, the idea behind it is more like a textile type of design. So I think this actually will look good on textile rather than, but the original idea, I feel like the sketch and everything, if I were to print this out into a different material, I think the best way is actually by doing it in watercolors. So now that what you see me doing here is just kind of just shaping the flower and giving more light blue on top of it. And I'm basically just rounding up some of the petals that are on the corners. And I'm actually just giving also more like a shape. So it looks more like a petal. I'm spritzing some watercolor. I like that spontaneity. and watercolors, you know, spritzing watercolor, adding alcohol, adding spritz of water, just creating really nice textures. It just makes it for a very happy, spontaneous painting, even though you had in your mind a actual design. So once everything is basically done and I have all my white spaces the way I want it to, basically your painting is done. I hope that you enjoy this video. And if you like, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I see you on the next one. Have a good day.